Bryan, I absolutely agree with you. Having that stressor at the end of the day really does kind of keep us in that stress mode, and it doesn't let us optimize our recovery time during sleep, which is, as we discussed, so important. I want to kind of go back to something that we touched on because I really want to dive deeper here, and that's the recovery time that we need in training as we get older changes. And this is really hard for people. Listen, I know I'm in a different stage in life and I have to have multiple days in between my workouts. It kills me as an athlete to do that. But how do we know when it's time to take a little bit more rest? How do we know when it's time to make that shift? What are some of the things that we can be paying attention to as athletes that are kind of those indicators so that when it comes time to competition, we are at our best peak performance instead of fatigued or really needing a little bit of more recovery?
One of the things that you can do is there's so many modalities out there now that can help track with different ways of recovery and so forth. Whoop, Apple Watches, Aura rings. I wear an Aura ring on a regular basis. Um, all it does is it's providing feedback for you. So you're not guessing. Figure out it helps you educate you on your body. Because one of the big things that every person's got to keep in mind is we're all not the same. We're all different. We all have different, ways that, we operate and we function, and we all recover at different processes, and we all need different levels of sleep. We all need different types of nutrition. You can't fit everybody in one box. So having some kind of a modality like an Apple Watch or an Aura Ring or Whoop, one of those kind of modalities to help kind of give you an understanding of where you are and give you feedback for your own personal journey. That's a key. That's a huge part.
And we really do. We have so many wearables that give us so much information. So that's a great way for us to kind of track things. Let me ask you the next question because I think we touched on this slightly before, but I really want to dive into nutrition recovery. Can you talk to me a little bit about like what do we need to consider, especially as we're aging, because our needs change there as well too. What do we need to be considering after, for example, our hard weight workout or after performance day? How do we incorporate recovery from a nutrition standpoint so that we can optimize that time off, if you will?
Well, one of the biggest things that we fall into now is inflammation, and inflammation is a huge part of everybody's daily life. It's studies have shown that that's where most of the chronic disease comes from is inflammation in your body. And how does that happen? That's a key point to understand. And a lot of it has to do with the food that you put in your body and so much processed food. You can take supplements or you can eat certain foods that help reduce inflammation in your body. Like what we have a product called curcumazine that helps to do that natural form, turmeric, quercetin, bromelain. That's one way you can do it. But you also have to watch what you eat and stay away from that are inflammatory in nature. Um, get an inflammation test. There's plenty of them out there. Feel Good Lab is one of them, but there's a lot of others. I mean, I don't really specialize in that part, but you have to get an understanding of what's causing the inflammation, what you be allergic to. A lot of skin conditions, eczema and so forth, are all caused by inflammation in our diet. And that recovery part of getting the proper fueling done, make sure you're eating meats. Um, Vegetarian lifestyle out there is for some people, but I know you miss a lot of the nutrients and a lot of the vitamins and minerals that you miss in fishes and meats and so forth, eggs. So I mean, getting the proper diet is such a crucial part of the recovery process, and really watching and staying away from some of the processed foods, the seed oils, and so forth.
So I'm going to ask you another question. I think it's going to tie one of our conversations earlier today in with this conversation, and that's, we've talked a little bit about sleep, we've talked about nutrition, we've talked about working out right for our body and not overtraining so that we're ready to go for competition. What about on the mental side? We talked about mental resiliency and looking at why something happened. What do we do in the recovery phase for our mental preparation?
You need to take some simple breaks. You got to know that time off is a good thing. And I would be the one that would probably be the worst at it. I never took days off. I never took vacations when I was coaching full time, and I think that prevented me from being the best that I could possibly be. Your brain needs a break. You know, you don't need to be, constantly in that work mode. Spend some time in prayer, spend some time in meditation, whatever that might be. Have an outlet that you would want to be in to be able to get away. Do exercise. Man, exercise, the studies that show what exercise can do to the body and the recovery state of just getting blood flow and getting moving, doing something you can get away, put the headphones in, go for a long walk. Doesn't mean that you have to be out there running and having this very regimented exercise routine, but go be active, go bike, go walk, go swim. Make sure you're getting out in the sun and getting some vitamin D in your system to kind of help with that recovery process. But really, like I was trying to start to say at the beginning, have some outlets, have some things that are not as stressful that you can go ahead and do and enjoy life and kind of get away from the work environment. One of the biggest things we need to do is put this thing down. Stay away from it for a little bit. Don't get on social media. Don't get on those things. Because you think about, especially now, where we're at, we're in this political environment where, everything's negative. You know, Stay away from it for a little bit. You get on social media, one of the things that you see on social media so much is, really is how good you're not. We don't want that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It kind of feeds into that like criticism and self-talk that we have. Well, why am I not? Why are they more successful? Well, social media, it just shows everybody's best foot forward, or maybe their worst. It depends on who you're following, but
Yeah, Jen, how many times have, you looked on social media, do you post when you're throwing up, when you're sick? Do you make posts when, the makeup's not on and you're just having a bad day? No, of course not. Nobody does that because that's not what the image that most people want to see or get that perception of what it is. Social media is such a fake world because it's only the best of the best. Um, and you're behind a wall. Twitter and so forth. I mean, you can criticize and criticize and criticize, but hey, there's not necessarily ramifications for it, and it's kind of sad. And I feel sad for the younger people, the younger generations that's all they know.
yeah.
Most of them don't know reading a newspaper. They don't know, some other forms of communication, that they just know the social media part of it. And I think that plays so much into the mental state of young people because they see a glorified view of what everybody looks like on social media. And that's really causing some mental issues with them because they think that, the celebrities are the norm when they're actually not the norm.
Yep.
They are they are far, far extreme from that.
You're absolutely right. I really appreciate all of your insights today. Thank you for being here and for sharing with us. We do have to break for commercial, but how can people reach out to you, Bryan?
Well, you can go to our website, ironfaithnutrition.com, and send it there, or psyoptimalsports.com. It's PSY optimal, OPTIMAL sports.com. They're both ways that you can check out our companies, either way, and they can get a hold of me through either of those too.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And you, yes, you stick around. We will be right back after these messages.